In the 1980s and 1990s, stories would ravage South African media of women being strangled and killed. These stories would attract massive high-profile attention, including the attention of then-President Nelson Mandela. This is the story of Moses Sithole. So in today's video, we're moving across borders. We're going down south to our brothers and sisters in South Africa. When I was reading this case, I was like, wow, the Mailoni brothers, Mushala, small boys. So today we're talking about Moses Sithole. I hope I pronounced it right. If there's any South African that haven't stumbled on this video, tell me if I pronounce any of the names right, and tell me if I mispronounce them. But hi, welcome. Yeah, on Zambian YouTube now. My name is KEZIAH. Welcome to the family. Sambonani, and Punjani. You're welcome. Subscribe. I talk about true crime on this channel, not exclusive to any country. It's just true crime cases in general. Alright, let's get into the story. The weather today is just September is sis doesn't know what she wants. It's like she's in menopause. So there's gonna be sun on my face at some point, and then at some point there's gonna be no sun on my face. So allow, ladies and gentlemen. Today's story is by a man called Moses Sithole. He is considered one of South Africa's deadliest killers. Moses was born into a family of 5 in Vosloorus. I'm going to insert the names right here because I'm gonna butcher them. I know I'm gonna butcher them. Vosloorus in Boksburg in the Transvaal, which is now Gauteng province, but it's the Transvaal in colonial South Africa, apartheid South Africa. He was born into a family of 5, as I said, but he had a rough upbringing. They were extremely poor, and after the death of his father, their mother would fail to take care of all 5 of the children, and she would leave them at a nearby police station. And at the police station, they would take the kids to a nearby orphanage. So we're already starting off with mommy issues, so you know it's about to be a whole lot of motherless behavior in this story. Yeah, so the mother, which is sad, but it's sad that she couldn't take care of the kids, so she had to leave them. Do you know how hard it has to be for a mother to do that? It has to be really hard. So yeah, left them at an orphanage. At the orphanage, it wasn't all peaches and cream. Moses experienced systematic racism. Someone there was abusing their power, and the kids felt the effects. Moses would run away from the orphanage after 3 years, and he would go to live with his big brother he would go live with his elder brother. After living with his elder brother for a while, Moses would go to Johannesburg to work in a gold mine. Moses is said to have developed sexual tendencies and inclinations at a very young age. Maybe owing to the abuse he faced at the orphanage, just maybe. But he allegedly got those inclinations and abilities at a very young age. Unfortunately for him, Moses had quite the bad luck with relationships. So he was in and out of relationships, and they just wouldn't work out. He's also said to have a very aggressive attitude towards women, probably owing to the frustration of his mother. And then it was also said later that he would narrate to some of his rape victims of his bad experience with the previous girlfriend. So sis just didn't like the girls. Like, sis loved the girls, but it was just like the girls didn't love him. So he just had a very bad experience with women and relationships. So since he was young, and then it went into his older, so he just grew up with like problems with women. I have no idea what I'm doing with my makeup, but yeah. So Moses was said to be a very, very handsome man, very handsome, and he was charming, which is not new. Like, if you know me, you know I have a thing against charming people. Charming people are psychopaths. If you follow true crime the way I do, you know that most serial killers, most people that, yes, serial killers, really serial killers of women, they're charming. So Moses, check on the charming person near you. So Moses was said to be a very charming man. Like, he knew how to woo the ladies, and he was handsome, so it helped. He knew how to talk to the ladies, he knew how to woo them. So he used this charm and good looks as a way to lure women. Mr. Moses was a charmer of the girls. So his main tactic, like, he wasn't even shy about it, about his tendencies. So his main tactics, his main tactic to lure women was promising them all sorts of things like jobs and money, and he would lure them in broad daylight, and that is where they would meet their fate. The girls want jobs, offer the girls jobs, and in turn he would abuse them. His first case was recorded in, there's no clear, it's not sure what his actual first crime was, but his first case was recorded in September of 1987, involving a woman called Patricia Kumalo. This would be his first rape case. In the case, of course, he pled not guilty, but Patricia Kumalo was his first victim, but the person that pressed charges was Buyiswa Boris Swakamisa. I'm going to insert all the names, guys. Buyiswa Boris Swakamisa. He attacked her on February of 1989. During this case, three more rape victims would come and testify against him, and Patricia would be one of them. So these rape victims would not report, and the only person that reported at the time was Buyiswa, and then the other victims would testify in this case. At the case, of course, he was found guilty because of testimonies of the girls, but he was only given 6 years in prison for rape, and of those 6 years he was released early on good behavior. I don't know, giving 6 years to a serial rapist sounds very, very generous, because that's a total of 5 women, if 4 or 5 women. So it's just like, why 6? But anyway, that's the justice system for you. So after he was released, Mans was like, so he did not learn from his mistakes, because it was 6 years for more than 3 victims, and then after that, and then he was released on good behavior. So it was just like, okay, so I can get off that easily. So after that, Mans was like, so for me not to go to jail, I should rape them and kill them, because a rape victim left alive will talk. So the next couple of cases would be him raping and killing his victims. These first recorded cases after he was released happened between January and April of 1995. So that's 2 years after he was released, because he was released in 1993. But it's not sure, it's not certain if he committed any crimes before that, or he was on a break. He was on leave from killing the girls. Have you guys noticed that I love using maths? Like, I just feel like shimmers. I was still using shimmers. Word to Jackie Aina. No one's using shimmers in 2021. Everyone's wearing mats. So get with the program. Okay. So 4 bodies were found of young black women between April, after he was released in 1993. It's not sure when exactly he started killing again. He started raping the girls again. But between January and April of 1995, 4 bodies of young black women were found, strangled and raped. This would unearth and uncover a whole killing spree. This would also be the beginning of his killing sprees being on record. So 4 bodies of young black women strangled and raped. And then at some point shortly after, a body of a 2-year-old boy was found. The boy was a victim's son. So he also did that to an innocent child. At the peak of his killing spree, bodies of women would be found tied up, raped and strangled with their own underwear. So that was his main tactic, that was his main technique. This kind of made the police realize that maybe, just maybe, there might be a serial killer on the loose, because the manner in which all the girls were dying, all the girls were killed, was similar. So that would alert police officers to the fact that just maybe there is a serial killer on the loose. On July 15th of 1995, a witness saw Moses acting very weird around a young woman. So he watched Moses and the young woman, but then he was kind of in a mind your business mood, so he did not follow up on anything. But then after a while, after he went on to investigate, he found the body of that same young woman. But he couldn't identify Moses because, don't know if he couldn't see his face or it was too far, but all he knew is that he saw the young woman with a man and the body of the young woman was found. After all of these killings and rape of young women, a special unit would be set up, and the guy, like, after the unit was set up, right, the officers and the investigators did not know anymore if they were looking for one person, because it seemed like after a while Moses had upped his killing game. Like, the method was still the same, like he would rape them and strangle them, but it looked like, to investigators, he upped his killing game to where it seemed like he inflicted more pain as the number of victims grew, and it seemed like he drew pleasure from torturing the girls. So he got a rise out of seeing helpless women. Yeah, motherless behavior, like I said. On September 16th, 1995, just months after the special unit was set up, a body was discovered in Van Dyke mine of Boksburg. After that body was found, it would reveal a whole mass grave in the mine, and over a 48-hour period, 10 more bodies were unearthed, all having different decomposition times. All of them women. 10 bodies. After the bodies were found, they would attract massive media attention in South Africa. Massive to the point that even the then president, Nelson Mandela, visited the site. Like, it was big news. Even the president visited the site. Just see what was going on, because this was a serial killer. So after that entire media coverage happened, the special unit didn't know what to do, because now social unrest. So they solicited the help of retired FBI agent Robert Ressler, who arrived in South Africa on September 23rd. He was a profiler. A profiler is just someone who comes up with a profile. Like, you study the case and make up, like, kind of figure out what you're looking for just from the patterns and killing type and all that. Like, estimate the age, is the person male or female, is all that stuff, even psychological characteristics, like, you know, like all that stuff. That's what profilers do. And they made a profile on Moses. The profile Robert made indicated that they were looking for a highly intelligent, highly organized individual who was responsible, that had a high sex drive, and was operating with a very high confidence. Probably, maybe had an assistant killer. That was the profile that was made on Moses. Despite the fact that they had alerted the media, during the investigations at the mine, the body of Amelia, I'm not going to say her last name. I'm really not. The body of Amelia would be found at the site, at the mass grave. After the body was found, investigations would reveal that Amelia had told someone she was meeting a man by the name of Moses Sithole for an employment opportunity. So that's their first real lead. You know, they have a name now. And then going on to investigate, they found that that was the pattern with all of the victims, most of the victims. A man would promise them employment. A man by the name of Moses Sithole would promise them employment, and they would go meet him to discuss an employment opportunity. Moses was the common denominator, so that was their first real lead. Moses, as I said, would continue killing, and his next victim would be found on October 3rd, and her name was Agness Mbuli. Her body was found on October 3rd, 1995. The same day that the body was found, a man would call Star newspaper, claiming to be the killer of the girls, because he had all this information about the case the public and the media did not have. So this would force police to set up a meeting with him, see what he was giving, see what he knew. But the meeting failed. After the meeting failed, the police would release Moses' profile to the public, like, look out for this, look out for that, and beware of this and that, which they'll just tell the public to be cautious and confirm that there is indeed a serial killer, which you'd think they would have done after I don't know how many murder cases and rape victims. You'd think they would have known to already do that, maybe after the 10th one. Even the 10th one's a stretch. So the meetings was set up with the police. 3 more bodies of victims were found. 10 days, 3 victims. So it's just like, he really wasn't letting up, honestly. 10 days, 3 victims, that's a lot. He wasn't letting the girls breathe. So now that the public was aware of who Moses was, not really his name. Was it his name? I don't know. Now that the public was aware of Moses was scared. So he would seek refuge and help from his family members. But it would all come to an end when secret police would interject him and arrest him. When arresting him, Moses would put up a fight. He didn't want to go to jail. So one of the officers would shoot him in the stomach and in the leg. He would then be transferred to a hospital and undergo surgery. All this happened on October 18th, 1995. So he was arrested, shot, and transferred to the hospital. Not sure if the surgery happened the same day. After the surgery, he would be transferred to Pretoria Military Hospital, where he was interrogated, and he admitted to 29 of the cases. He admitted to 29, and then trial would begin. At the hospital where he was interrogated, he would admit, of course, to 29 of the killings, and he would deny having an accomplice. He just said any other crime that looks like mine is just like a copycat crime. That wasn't me. So he wanted all his credit. He wanted all the credit. Give people credit when it's due. So he wanted all his credit. So after he confessed to all these 29, he would go to trial. Now at the trial, Moses would plead not guilty, which is very funny because you allegedly just confessed, so why are you pleading not guilty? You know? On October 23rd, 1995, Moses would be charged for the 29 murders. On November 3rd, Moses would be transferred to Boksburg prison. This is also where he served his previous sentence for his rape case that he served only maybe 3. His trial began on October 29th, 1995. His trial began on November 21st, 1995, and his charges were brought up from the 29 he confessed about in the hospital. His charges would go up to 38 murders, 40 rapes, and 6 robbery cases. So that's a lot. He really was on a spree, and he was having fun. So despite the fact that all these charges were brought against him and he allegedly confessed at some point, he pleaded not guilty. He said not guilty. And I think this is what his lawyers told him to do, because the entire defense rested on the fact that he said he wasn't guilty. Throughout his trial, Moses was very calm and collected. He was very cool, exuding the confidence that was mentioned in his profile. Like, he was very, very calm. No panic, no stress, just vibes. During the trial, the prosecution brought out a video recording of him confessing at the hospital. He would confess to 29 of the crimes. He would just say he did it. Move on with his life. But the problem with that video is that it was rendered inadmissible because it was recorded illegally. Just like they didn't inform him that they were going to record his video. Also, during the confession, during the time he confessed, he waived his rights to an attorney, so he was really just talking. So I guess that's another reason it was inadmissible. Lawyers, educate us in the comments. But he waived his right to an attorney. There was no attorney present when he was saying all these things. So I guess that's another reason it was rendered inadmissible, apart from the fact that he probably wasn't told. These are my kind of lashes. I have small eyes, so every time I wear lashes that are too small, I feel like they get smaller. But when I wear lashes that are big, like, and flared out at the end, it opens up my eyes a little bit. So that's why I love lashes. So after these videos were presented to the judge by the prosecution as evidence, it would drag the trial, because the judge was right, because those are huge crimes, you know, and there's a confession tape. They want to let a guilty man get away, but because it was illegal, the judge had to decide, because it was just such a huge case. The judge had to decide if it was legal, if it was okay for the evidence to be admissible or not. But then, because he had to decide, this would drag the case. It would drag the case on from January 29th of 1997 to July 29th of 1997, a whole 7 months, because the prosecution presented inadmissible evidence and the judge was trying to decide whether or not he should allow it. So a whole 7 months. I'm sure everyone knew he was guilty though, but it was just, it's a court of law, you know, so they, regardless of whether they think he's guilty or not, they have to do what's legal. So July 29th, 1995, the judge rules that the evidence is in fact admissible. So they go on to trial. They continue with the trial. On December 4th, 1997, more than a year, remember he was arrested October, November, and then shot and then hospital. This was happening in November. December 4th, 1997 is when the judge gave his verdict. His verdict took 3 hours to read, which is okay. It's not that much, you considering the amount of cases. That's 38 rapes, 40 murders, 6 robberies. So he had to read a verdict for each case. 3 hours. It even went into the next day. That's how extensive his sentence was. So summarizing the sentence, he was sentenced to death. Like, the judge said it was inevitable for him to be sentenced to death, but because in 1997 South Africa ruled against the death penalty as inhumane, the judge gave him a life sentence of 2,410 years. 2,410 in prison. Let me finish my makeup, then we'll finish talking. Alright, we're done. Today I'm giving matte lip for no reason. I'm probably going to end this video and put on some lip gloss, because in this house we'll have our nudes and we'll have our glosses, and that's on period. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't look bad, but I'm probably gonna get tired. It's hard to be bored with a glossy lip. I feel like it's always giving, but matte is just very, it's cute, but it's very yeah, no. Okay, December 4th, 1997 is when the final verdict was read, and he was sentenced to death. But because I've said this, it's illegal, the death penalty is illegal in South Africa since 1995, he sentenced him to life in prison. Life in prison for 2,410 years. I don't know what age he was at the time, but 2,400, no one lives that long. Nobody. And then for those 2,410 years, he wasn't eligible for parole until 930 over those years were served. So it was really just a life sentence. So another thing that I learned when researching this case was that Moses was HIV positive, which was sad for both him and his victims. If he had any victims that were alive at the height of his killing spree, which I don't think so, but that's sad. That's sad to contract a disease after being abused. But he was HIV positive, and apparently he received very good healthcare in prison. It's the maximum prison in Pretoria at the CMAX unit. So he received very good care for an HIV patient in prison, allegedly. Better than someone who's outside. So I'm not sure if he's still alive though, because it's like 1997 and we don't know how old he was. I don't know how old he was at the time he was arrested. But yeah, that's been me today. That's been Wicked Wednesday. That's been this beat, and that's the story of Moses Sithole, one of South Africa's deadliest killers. Tell me what you think. Yeah, I had a question. Tell me what you guys think of the death penalty. I'm not going to say what I think. I want you guys to tell me. Is it inhumane? Or do you think for people like serial rapists and serial killers in general, like, it's the poetic justice that everyone deserves? Tell me what you think of the death penalty, and tell me what you think of the story. If you're South African, please feel free to fact check me in the comments on dates and name pronunciations and just any information I missed. What else is there? Because this was a very intriguing story for me, and it was very detailed, thankfully. It's not the same as the Miloni cases and the Mshela cases. It was quite detailed, And I was actually worried this would be a long video. I don't know how long it would be, but I hope it's not as long. I'll try to make it as quick as possible. But like this video, subscribe, share with somebody who's a true crime fanatic, and comment down below, fact check me, tell me if you enjoyed this video. It helps my channel a lot. And tell me if you like my makeup. Actually, I wasn't feeling my makeup until I finished, because my eyes, I really didn't know what I was doing with my eyes. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time on Wicked Wednesday, and I'll see you in Saturday's video. I don't know if it'll be a vlog or a sit down video, but I'll see you in Saturday's video regardless. Peace and love.